Hey guys, Zen here. In year 7, a monumental year for Rainbow Six Siege, and the one that finally pays off after years of waiting for truly exciting updates and facing a community with an insatiable appetite for new content. With game changers like the final form of the reputation system, the full rework to Thatcher, and the introduction of Azami, one of the most meta-defining operators in this game's existence, year 7 is reshaping Rainbow Six Siege. But there's been a long road to get here, and there's also a new creative director for the game that recently spoke to PC Games and revealed some fascinating secrets about Siege, including 2 operators with unique gadgets that became unified. There's also a closer look at Azami that better fleshes out the mission she's on and why she's been brought in by one of our own. Let's discuss. But first, this video is sponsored by Bespoke Post, a monthly membership club delivering amazing boxes and premium goods that's free to join. And that brings me here, to the beautiful views of the shores of Coastline, a map surrounded by the sea, and if we dive deep, you might just come up with some of the finest seashells you'll enjoy. This is the Shucked Box from Bespoke Post, an exclusive to the East Coast, but they provide the live oysters, a red clay hot sauce, and an oyster shucking knife, which you'll need to enjoy some of the world's freshest oysters. They also sent out the Scorch Box, which houses 6 of some of the hottest hot sauces I've ever tried. I've gotta say, I'm not one for immense heat, but they come rated from medium heat to very hot and include a Scoville rating card, so you know exactly what you're getting into. And for those ready for a much needed getaway, you might go for the Weekender. This includes the incredible Weekender bag designed by Line of Trade. It's got thick leather handles and a removable nylon shoulder strap and is the perfect size for a quick weekend getaway. Guys, every box has around $70 of value, but only costs $49, and you're able to preview the box before it ships. You can decide to keep it, swap it out for a different box, or skip the month entirely so that you only pay for exactly what you want. Each month, they offer a brand new array of boxes, and so you'll fill out a preference-based quiz and be shown the latest in outdoor gear, barware, and even live oysters, as you've seen here. And so guys, to get 20% off your first box, click the link in the description and use code ZEN20 at checkout. Or go to bespokepost.com/zen20 to get started. Thanks to Bespoke Post for sponsoring the video, and let's get back to it. So if you've stuck with R6 through the years, then you know that it hasn't always been this lively. The game has experienced some really high highs and has also come to a standstill with seasons like Operation Health that completely stopped the release of new content. But the fruits of that labor are really turning out as Siege moves into its 7th year, and the director actually addressed this in the interview. When asked about Siege slowing down over the years, it was apparent that Ubisoft is also well aware of it, and the answer comes with Azami. Now, a lot of people have asked, like, why is Azami so special? Her gadget is cool and interesting, sure, but what about this one operator breathes new life into Siege? Well, the same thing happened 5 years ago when they launched Velvet Shell and introduced Mira. Siege had just started gaining popularity, but once they revealed that deployable one-way mirror, not only was it the first time a multiplayer shooter had a mechanic like this, but it also fundamentally changed how Rainbow Six Siege was played. Every gadget since Azami has really just added to the Siege meta, where Azami redefines what it means to set up the site. And actually, she's been worked on for the last few years, and there were 2 operators that were blended together to make her a reality. Now, in the past, we talked about Flubber, an operator that had leaked that was a hole filler. The concept was that if attack blew open a wall, Flubber would engage the gadget and fill the hole, and the way they had it working was seriously unique. Here's what the director said. Over a year ago, we had a prototype called Flubber. This essentially acted like Ella's Gersmont mines, so you would throw them and they would explode into a radial pile of green goo. And so you could stack the Flubbers all over the place. That gave us the organic new direction that we really enjoyed. Now, with this design, they ran into some problems, mainly with the sound engine and having to block the sound coming from the Flubber-filled holes. But actually, before this was another operator, Patcher. And Patcher's gadget acted like a ranged castle barricade. Just hear this. You would essentially shoot castle barricades at windows and doors and at reinforced walls as well. It would always be this square kind of patch that would connect and fill the space. But it was wildly difficult to get right, and we couldn't find a great way to make it feel unique compared to what Castle was doing. Now, when you think about the operators in Rainbow Six Siege, one way or another, they found over 50 ways to make each gadget useful and for each to serve a specific purpose in the meta. There is some overlap, but there aren't really too many cases of one operator just plainly being a better version of another. Even with Ace and Hibana, 2 very important hard breachers, and some might just give Ace the leg up. But once you factor in reinforced hatches, the tables turn almost completely in Hibana's favor because you waste so much utility using Ace's Selma to deal with them. And so giving Patcher deployable castle barricades, I don't think does enough to really have a clear separation from Castle himself, and so making the decision to keep iterating and use that as a jump off point was critical to finding the Kiba barrier. And now that Azami and the Kiba barrier is here, the word architect has been thrown around as a way to describe her. And Siege has always had different roles and labels for the kinds of operators in the game. Traps help keep the enemy at bay. Anchors usually grow roots on site. Roamers travel around the map hunting down enemies, and intel operators set up gadgets that watch or listen for your opponents. But architect is something that may become an official role here, and the director says that if the meta supports it, there could be new operators down the pipeline that fill this role. They say Castle has kind of always been an architect because all the utility he has is essential to restructuring the site, and so more could be on the way, but the role in itself is a very complex one that has more layers than most others. Now, the next two questions they ask here are really eye-opening. Here's the first question. At the end of the reveal stream, you closed by saying Siege is here to stay. Why do you feel that now is such an important time to restate Siege's long-term ambitions? And here's the answer. For us, it's really important for the community that has stayed with us, that enjoys this game, to hear and understand that this game is going to receive all the support it needs to be as successful as it can be. We really do believe that Rainbow Six Siege is one of the top tier games in the world, and it's in large part because of the community. What they ask for and what they find important helps decide the roadmap for us each year. I think we've done a lot of homework and we've put down the foundations for the game. As a result, this year more than others, we're actually seeing the return on that investment. While we've made huge dedicated improvements to features that may not be player facing, this year is the big one that will help players understand why we chose to invest so much in core gameplay or online technology or anti-cheat or even anti-toxicity. This is the year that players begin to see all of that pay off. We've established that there's trust there, there's support there, and we have long-term ambitions. This is what you'll get when you support a game like Siege. So the future of Siege has been kind of uncertain over the past few years. I think year 2 and year 3 were prime examples of Siege at its best in a time when the community really embraced all of the updates. And so from a development standpoint, they sound confident, and when you consider the first operator this year is truly game-changing, it shows they're still actively trying. Now, the second question digs into Siege's competition and asks why there isn't another game like Siege out there in the AAA market. And it's a valid question to have. Like it or not, the Siege formula has proven to be unimaginably successful, and it's accounted for a ton of Ubisoft's live service revenue. And so you'd think there'd be more publishers who would want to cut into that pie. And the answer to that question is so abrupt and honest, and also a little bold, but I've got to agree. He says, honestly, I feel sorry for any game that tries this kind of recipe now. We have 7 years of technology and systems and operators and stories. This game is more than the package it was 6 years ago. Because we're a service game and because we've done so much investment, I think it's actually pretty intimidating to compete with something like that now. So we take immense pride in that, and even if it feels like it's an obvious game to imitate, it wasn't when Siege first launched, and so we're extremely happy it resonated with so many other people. What a strong statement here. But again, Siege has come a very, very long way, and the game that launched 7 years ago has only evolved since. Siege is a recipe like none other, with gameplay that's so ultra unique it feels like it's in a category all its own, and that's not how AAA game development, especially in the shooter space, is used to having success. Over the years, you've seen so many battle royale games come and go because when something takes off in this industry the way Fortnite and Apex Legends did, other game creators want to get involved. I mean, Ubisoft even tried for Battle Royale with Hyperscape, and unfortunately, they'll be shutting down the servers. So it's a lot of sink or swim, and Siege kind of launched in a state of floating, and then all of a sudden started to surf. And I think it's something Ubisoft and the team are proud of, and it's fun to see them kind of show off the chest hairs a bit. Now, overall, this interview had a bunch of intel, and I don't know, for me, I can still definitely go for a ranged castle-like gadget, but my spin on it would be maybe switch Patcher over to attack. The attackers have desperately needed a way to close doors and block sightlines for themselves, and I think an operator like that actually makes a lot of sense, even if some of that design inspired the creation of Azami. And speaking of Azami, I wanted to take this time to get to know her a little better. Her name is Kana Fujiwara, but what is she doing here? She's another one of those operators for Rainbow that just kind of appeared, but she was actually brought in and vouched for by Hibana. She's on a mission of revenge for the man she protected as a bodyguard, and in her lore trailer, you see her kicking so much tail because she's a high-level Aikido and Jiu-Jitsu artist. She took on the name Azami until her revenge is complete, and from what Hibana says, she doesn't like speaking about her past and family, but does have a keen eye for fashion, hence the embroidered jacket and face mask. And so that's Azami, and I think for a lot of people, being the first operator in year 7, this will be one of those reasons to return to Rainbow Six Siege, and for anyone that's brand new, I think she does something so ultra unique and innovative that she's gonna be one of the more fun operators to get started with. And that's it, guys. If you did enjoy, be sure to drop a like and subscribe for more content coming soon. Thanks for watching. I'm out.